Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Married Now Widowed. We're your hosts. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Nadine, and this podcast is about navigating life after loss through unfiltered conversations.
Welcome back, everyone.
Welcome back, guys.
For this episode, we asked you guys to send in some questions, but there was one in particular that stood out to us that we thought would be really good to do like
and
a deep dive.
extremely relatable.
Very relatable.
Yeah.
I'm going to just read the question and we will just run from there.
Yeah.
So this person sent in a message that says, marriages are not perfect. There's no such thing. My darling husband was the love of my life for sure, hands down, and he did things that were very hurtful and left me broken. Some of them unresolved between us. How do you/we widows deal with this kind of unfinished business? How do we reconcile good and bad memories and moments? Do we strive to maintain our husband's authentic legacy, which includes good and bad, or do we forget the bad? Things left unsaid for me include some deep truth telling, and now I'll never be able to tell him and will never be able to heal from those hurts.
I think
it's a big one.
That is such an honest and important question.
Yeah. And very real.
Extremely real. And I want to start by saying, like, you're not alone in feeling this way. There are so many people that feel that way, and I know I can relate to that as well on so many levels. I think for me, I feel like love and pain often exist side by side, right? And we probably don't talk enough about what it means to grieve someone when they're both like your greatest love, but also like a true source of pain. And I think when someone dies, there's this pressure from other people, from ourselves, where you only have to remember the good. And you know, healing doesn't work that way. Healing doesn't tell you to, you know, forget the bad stuff that happened and only remember the good. To heal is to remember the whole truth. And, you know, the good, the bad, and the ugly. You can say, my husband was the love of my life. He left me with some deep wounds that haven't healed. You know, and I think it's about what you do moving forward and how to navigate the things that are left unsaid.
Definitely. I think first of all, there is a lot of, I don't think it's pressure, but I think it's common practice to always paint the deceased person out to be perfect with no flaws. And nobody's perfect, right? Whether
no one's perfect.
Your husband that you lose, your mother that you lose, a sibling that you lose, everybody has flaws. So I think first of all, to start, I think being truthful to yourself.
That's right.
That's where you have to start, right? With being realistic. Like, no, they weren't always this A1 person that was great at everything. They weren't, and that's okay. But we don't need to paint them in a way that to sort of pretend that they were perfect.
That's exactly right.
And it doesn't mean they're any less worthy of people grieving over them, even if they weren't.
Right.
You know, there are people that, let's just say, for instance, I don't know, commit a crime and pass, their family still grieve over them, right? Yes, they weren't the perfect person. Maybe they've done some bad things, but grief is still valid just because it doesn't matter what type of person they were, right? So when we talk about someone that we're grieving over, for instance, for us, it's our husbands, I never paint him out to be perfect because he wasn't. And that's what makes him him. Do you know what I mean? He was a great...
to other people, are you painting him out to be perfect?
No, I never do that. No, because I don't understand why, because I hear it, I've heard it a few times about my own husband where he's painted in a way that actually wasn't him
Really?
Of course. Yeah. Well, no, yeah, I have. But for me, it's like, why would I lie? It doesn't mean he's worth any less to me.
No, of course
or
not.
he's worth grieving over less or loving over less just because he had flaws. No, I never say that.
Yeah.
Obviously, if we're meeting just, you know, whatever, we're not close or it's just a general conversation, no, I'm not going to go into his flaws. Of course, I'm going to say, no, he was great. And he was a great father and a great husband and a great friend and etc. And he had great qualities.
Yeah.
But there were definitely things that weren't so great. But that's with everyone, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. So I think you need to start there first by acknowledging that just because you're truthful to yourself and you're honest about what this person was and some of their good and bad characteristics doesn't take away from anything. There's actually nothing wrong with that. It's normal. They are human,
That's
right? So they're going to have...
And it's a part of healing, right? Like you need to acknowledge, you know, the truthful stuff.
Absolutely. You have to be
like
real with yourself.
The good, the bad, the ugly. Like you need to acknowledge that stuff.
100%.
And that is like a way to move forward and a way to heal from that as well, you know?
Definitely. That's a big one.
It is a big one,
I've spoken about this before with someone in my family actually as well, about my husband in particular, because my husband had a lot of insane characteristics too, you know, like he used to get angry 0 to 100 really quickly, but it's not a bad thing and no one's saying that in a negative light. It was just part of him as a person.
But I think this question was a lot deeper than
100%, but I think we should start there. Start by accepting and being okay with the fact that your person was not a perfect person, you know?
That's right.
And I feel like these widows, they know their person wasn't perfect, but they're afraid to admit that to everyone else. And I think it's okay to admit that. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's perfect, right? So that's number one. But questions like that we get about infidelity, especially after someone passes, is difficult, right? Because it is unresolved and it's something that
you can't speak to them about.
No.
Who do you talk to?
No.
You can't.
And
you can't talk to them about it.
There's two parts, right? So there's this question, which obviously she didn't give us a whole breakdown of everything, but from what I gather, I assume maybe it's stuff that had happened
or had been ongoing.
That's right. And she feels like is unresolved. But there's also another side to that, which is things that you find out after.
Correct.
And that happens.
That is
right?
exactly right.
So there's two sides to it. So if we look at the first part of it, which is maybe things that were ongoing, maybe things that were known during the marriage, etc. I mean, my take on it, and it's not the right take, right? These are always just our opinions. We're not professionals.
That's right.
My take on it is, you might need therapy to get through and work through that, 100%. But I do also feel like, you know, death is final. They're dead.
That's right.
That's it. You know, it's not a separation. It's not something you can mend, something you can talk about, something you can work on. They're dead. So for me, I would probably have a bit of resentment, and that's normal. To feel like that is normal. And don't feel guilty either for feeling that way. No. Don't feel bad that you feel that way about someone that's died.
Because your life changed in a blink of an eye.
That's right.
And there's all this stuff that was left unsaid.
100%.
So
absolutely.
That will weigh heavy on you, you know?
Definitely. Yeah, for sure. And I just think that what you're feeling is valid and don't feel guilty. Like, do you notice how in her message, and this is a common thing that widows do all the time, they like to preface what they're going to say with, oh, but I loved him and he was great.
He was the love of my life.
We already know that. Yeah. And anyone with a decent level of emotional intelligence understands that. You don't need to say that. Yeah. You don't need to justify how you feel. Yep, he was great. He's the love of your life. Yeah. He's your best friend. That's awesome. But he obviously did some things too that have hurt you, right?
Exactly
and that you're carrying, and your feelings are valid.
That's like I said before. You can literally say, he was the love of my life. But he left me with,
in the same sentence,
with some open wounds that were never healed.
100%.
Both are okay.
Absolutely.
Both are extremely valid.
Yep. And just don't feel bad about feeling like that or thinking like that. because I know there's a pressure and a perception to, oh, they're dead now. We have to be, oh, we love them so much. They were so great. They did everything right. Oh, don't worry about what, but it's still, they've made you feel heavy a certain
on
way.
You, yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to go, you know?
No, it's not going to just disappear.
No.
That's why I said, like, you know, you can't just, like, healing, you cannot just pretend that,
of course,
you know, the bad stuff didn't happen.
If you do that, you won't heal.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
You need to acknowledge it. You need to allow yourself to, you know, accept the pain, you know, because for me anyway, pain and love, like, they often work hand in hand and side by side.
Of course. Absolutely.
You know? Yeah.
Definitely. And I think with grief in general, a big thing that's always spoken about is letting yourself feel it. Go through the motions. Let yourself feel it. Whether it's grieving because you miss them, grieving because
you remembered something and
that does happen, right?
Of course it does.
Like it happens.
Do you know how many times I'll be sitting there and I'll be like, can't believe you did that.
Yeah, yeah. And
then I get so angry and then I'm like,
what do you do?
What do you do?
What do you do? Yeah, that's exactly right.
But like one thing that helped me was, yes, therapy. I think therapy, you know, will allow you to speak about the pain, but also grieve like the love of your life, right? And it's a safe space, you know, for you to do that. But when I went to my therapist, and I think I've spoken about this in a previous episode, she got me to do this task. And it was to write him a letter and to explain to him or to tell him anything that I hadn't told him before, that I wanted to tell him, like just anything in this letter, to just put all my feelings and my emotions in this letter. Now, at the time, it was obviously things like about the kids and about how much I missed him and, you know, all of that sort of stuff, right? I think that, so what I tend to do sometimes, okay, not all the time, but I'm a bit whacked, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm fighting with somebody and I just can't be stuffed getting into it, I will actually write them a message on how I feel. Like I will thrash you in a message, but I won't press send.
That's not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I even used to do that with him when he was alive.
Okay.
Like I would be like, you fucking this, you fucking that. Like I'd say the things that I would never say to him.
Yeah.
Like I'd argue with him, don't get me wrong, but like, you know, the really hard,
not
like
to that extent.
I would let all of that out.
Okay.
I wouldn't press send. Do you know how much better I would feel?
Really?
I swear to you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's like, you know, when clearly I do this a lot. You know when you're driving and you get road rage?
Yeah.
And people are like, fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I do?
What? Do we want to know?
Yeah.
What do you do?
So instead of walking around going, fuck you, I do it underneath.
No. Are you being for real right now?
But I feel better after that.
Are you serious?
No, I'm being serious right now. I'm actually being serious.
Okay, this is one of your, what do you call it?
I don't know.
Skill. Like this is one of your things.
Just one of my things where like, especially when you hear like so many people get killed in road rage. Yeah. I'm not going to sit there, you know, sticking my finger.
I don't fuck around on the road. I'm too scared.
But you know when sometimes you just want to, I'll like, fuck you.
Wow. And that gives you're
I feel so much better. I am so satisfied.
Okay. Well, that's one of your tools.
I've been doing that for years. But anyway, okay, listen, I'll tell you when I had my daughter.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like my eldest. I'm like, I can't go around telling fuck you to people. Fair. That's when I started doing that. And I did. It made me feel better. But therapy, yes. But sometimes, honestly, like just try it.
Yeah.
Just write
it out.
Everything you are feeling on a piece of paper whether you choose to share it with someone, whether you choose to keep it to yourself, I swear sometimes you actually feel just a little bit better.
Just maybe a little bit lighter.
A little bit lighter, exactly.
Yeah. I think, you know how you said when you wrote, at that time it was about your children and about whatever. I think if you wrote now, it would probably be really different.
It would be very different, let me tell you.
Yeah, definitely.
Very different. Yeah.
But I think that's beneficial too, right? Because you're at a different stage now.
100%.
You know, so I think if you're going to try.
But then also to what you said before, like, you know, there's that things that happen throughout your marriage and then things that you find out about
afterwards,
after they die.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And 100%, I think my letter would be very different.
Okay. You know the after they die stuff? That's hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
Because you cannot get closure from them. You have to get closure through working on yourself.
1000%.
And seeking therapy or whatever, you know, whether it's closer to your faith or, you know, whatever it is that you do. That's the only way you're going to get your closure, because that path of getting it from them is gone.
Not going to happen.
Finished, right? So I think discovering things afterwards is really difficult.
It would be difficult.
But again, I just want to point out that if you are in that situation where you did discover, whether it's infidelity, whether it's whatever it is that you didn't know about.
Yeah, whatever. It could be a debt. It could be something, anything that they didn't, that they didn't tell you.
You are so valid in the way that you feel.
1000%.
If you're angry at them, if you're whatever feelings you have,
you are allowed
them,
to feel the way you feel.
Absolutely.
It is extremely valid.
Yeah.
Because let me tell you this. Yes, it's harder because they're not alive.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you have felt that way if they were alive?
Absolutely.
Like, let's just say they were alive.
Worse,
probably.
Right?
Yeah.
I think their death probably softens it for you because you have that compassion and also that like,
I love him, I miss him. Or,
that's right. You'd probably be worse if they were around.
Yeah, that's right. So if you were going to get angry when they were alive, why wouldn't you get angry when they're dead?
And it's something valid to be angry about though as well. If you found out something like that, it's so valid
1000%.
to have those feelings.
That's exactly right.
You know,
like, grief isn't a pretty bow. You don't put it in a box, put a pretty bow on it, and it doesn't work like that. You really need to. And at the beginning, I think, like you said, it's all about the good stuff. Like, you know, when I wrote in my letter, it was all, you know, I miss you and the kids. And it's you remember all the good stuff. As time goes on, there are things that you start to question. There are things that you start to learn. There are things that you learn about yourself. There, you grow as a person. Like,
and you think more deeply about things because I think your mind, as the years go on, becomes a little clearer as well. It's not so foggy. So you have that time and that brain capacity to actually think about a situation that maybe you weren't happy with, whether it happened before, during, after, whatever the case may be. You have that time to actually go back, think about it, get angry over it, feel upset over it, feel a certain way over it. You know, all that's valid. It's all okay. You're not going to get closure from them. So you have to work on getting it within yourself. That's from
exactly
yourself.
Right. That's right. It's all about healing yourself as well.
Absolutely. I think, like, look, it's very difficult when you find out something and there's no context to it either, right? Because you can't ask a question about it. So you're left with whatever you've found out, right? And you don't know where to channel that or how to channel it.
Especially if you're an overthinker.
Yes.
If you're an overthinker,
yeah,
you will overthink
definitely
everything.
Definitely.
And the whole situation will just expand in your brain
absolutely
to something that it might not even be.
but you won't really ever
You're
know,
never gonna
right?
know.
I think, so that's interesting because do you remember in a previous episode when we were talking about exes and visiting graves and that, and I said to you, I don't care, like, do what you want to do. I feel like, because there's so many different types of people, everyone feels this different type of way, right? For example, let's talk about infidelity. If someone finds out that their spouse, after they've passed, has had a relationship during, or, whatever, they've gone through their phones, read texts, whatever, they might react, they might feel a certain way, and that's okay. Me personally, I'm like, for me, it's just so done. Like, it's so, like, they're not here.
Yeah.
I can't, like, I
remember
when
I
haven't even gone through his phone.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
I had asked Kayla.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking about. I think I said to her, did you go through his phone?
Which is actually a question that I get all the time.
Yeah.
And it's something that you think of, right? It's the first thing you think of, because phones, like, they're a big deal, right?
Yeah.
When do you really have the opportunity to, like, sit in peace and go through
their
someone's phone?
Knowing that you're not going to,
like
no interruptions.
They can't do anything about it, right? Yeah, and I didn't, and 3 years on almost, and I still haven't, and I never will. And what's interesting is when he was alive, I'm crazy, totally crazy.
Yeah.
But it's funny, since he's passed, I have no urge, and that is not me. I am the nosiest person on the planet.
Yeah, I know.
Even if it doesn't affect me, it's not going to change my life, or I'm not going to do anything about it.
Yeah.
I have to know everything. I need to know. And it's funny because when he was alive, same situation. Like, maybe something that he said to a friend or whatever doesn't affect me, has nothing to do with me. We're not talking about cheating, nothing. I just want to fucking know because I'm nosy as fuck.
Yeah.
When he died, not even one part of me was like, oh, maybe I want it. Zero. I don't know why. I just feel like, I don't know, death is just...
It's done.
It's the end. That's it. Whether I find something I don't like...
What are you going to do about it?
Nothing. And am I going to... I'm just thinking if I can tell this story to not make anyone look a certain way. Years ago... I think I was, so years ago I was married, and I remember someone in our family, I was sitting with one of his family members, right? He was, we were talking about WhatsApp, and I was like, like, I know this guy, like, I can pay him and he can hack into his WhatsApp. I was telling his family member this, right? Okay. I was like, I can pay him to hack, because I'm just fucking nosy as fuck, babe. I don't trust anybody. Yep. Doesn't matter, nothing against my husband. My husband was, whatever.
Amazing, yeah.
Fine, but I don't trust anyone, okay? And I was telling his family member, I was like, I know this guy, he can hack into his WhatsApp. Like, do you think I should do it? And the person turned around to me and they're like, let's say you do. Are you going to leave? And I was like, probably not. And they're like, so why are you going to do it? You're going to upset yourself. You're going to hurt yourself. If you're going to hack the WhatsApp, find something and divorce him, do it now.
Yeah.
But if you're not going to
do anything
hack
about
the WhatsApp,
it,
sit there and nag and cry and you're going to stay, don't bother. You're hurting yourself, right? And I sort of feel like that with the phone. Not that, like, genuinely, I actually don't think I'd find anything sinister or too bad in there, right? No one's perfect, and I know, guy's a guy, no worries. But I think, like, what am I going to do about it if I find something?
You can't do anything about
him?
it.
Am I going to scream at him? Am I going to abuse him? Zero. So why do it?
But I think
where I am in my mind.
think naturally a woman's instinct, no matter what, naturally women are nosy. They want to know everything. So I think if their husband has passed away, first thing they got, maybe not the first thing, but like...
Second thing.
Yep. They're going to grab the phone and they're going to go through it. And are you telling me that a male's not going to do the same?
I reckon they so would. I reckon they would. 95% of people would. I actually 100%. Don't know why that button flicked off in me, because I am nosy as...
But like you said, I think also... For you, Muhammad was such a great father, a great husband, such a great guy. That's how you want to remember him. So why are you going to, go through his phone and potentially Probably not. But let's just say you do.
Yeah.
Find something in his phone. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah. Well, that's right.
And I think you also wouldn't want to change the way you think about him.
Totally.
Do you know what I mean?
If I don't already know, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's exactly
I don't
right.
think I need to like
And again,
do
I'm
that.
not saying, there's anything in his phone.
Look, I don't know. That's the truth. Don't know. Could be, could not be.
Yeah.
Maybe his girlfriend's watching this right now. I don't know.
Yeah.
But what I don't know doesn't hurt me, and I'm happy to live that way. Not different story if he was alive. Totally different story.
Course.
But now that he's not, I feel
Did you ever go through his phone when he was alive?
Once, yeah.
Why?
But, because we had an argument. Because I actually found something.
Oh, okay.
And then I was like, nah, now I want your whole phone. I want to see everything. First time he ever was like, he just gave up. You know when guys I'm fucked now. Here you go, right?
Yeah.
So I went through, babe, with a fine-tooth comb, WhatsApp, messages, anything, emails, babe, the whole phone. And you know what? I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
I have to say, I was happy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, you know what? You're not doing too bad. You're good.
Yeah.
And that's the first time. And I had his code always, but I didn't know. And you know as well, right? Our relationship was normal. But, he was unwell the entire time. So for us, look, I'm not going to never say never, because men do not fail to surprise me, right? But
what was he going to do?
If you saw the state that our lives were in, especially probably the last year, there's no cheating happening.
Yeah.
Like we had so much on our plate.
Yeah.
There were times like he couldn't even get up. Do you know what I mean? Like it was a different type of marriage because of the health issues. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it wasn't like these were serious. Like there were times where, he'd have to crawl from the car to the front door. Like we're not talking about this is our lives were upside down. It's not really, he's not sitting on the couch hiding. Like it was very different, lots of hospital stays, lots of, he'd give me his phone while he'd go. Like there was a lot of trust between us. And I had his code, etc. And to be honest, I never went through it again. That was the one time I did it in front of him and I asked for it, and it was for a purpose.
Yeah.
God, I love nothing more, to be honest. How satisfying just going through someone's phone.
I've never gone through his phone, like when he was alive. I knew his code.
Yeah.
And Mick would just leave his phone lying around. Yeah. Like it wasn't.
I think it's abnormal not to be honest. I think that's really odd. Like, why would you not if you're not hiding anything?
Well, if you're not hiding anything, you wouldn't care to leave your phone laying around.
100%. Yeah. But I also, this is another thing, right? But I don't want to, I'm not judging anyone that has, because most people I know have gone through their partner's phones when their partner has died. Okay? So I'm not judging anyone. I know people. Yeah, I know that. And I know people that have actually gone through their parents' phones when their parents have died. Yeah, I have a client, her mum passed away and she went through her mum's phone, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not judging at all, and I'm not saying my view or whatever is the right way, but it's partially yes, because I don't want to hurt myself if there is anything.
Yeah.
But another part of it, to be honest, I on the record right now, if I die, bury the phone.
No, I know that. You've told me that before.
My phone,
bury it.
I'm single. I'm not cheating on anyone. I'm not doing anything.
That's right.
Me and you text, me and my mom, babe, I cannot, right? So with my husband, I just felt like I felt bad to invade his privacy.
Yeah.
That's the truth. I felt
I didn't go through like
boys. And
that's not my business.
Yeah,
I'm not that type of a person. I'm not going to go through his mates' messages to him. And
the urge to want to know everything.
No, like Mick's phone is still on.
Yeah.
You know, if you open WhatsApp, it's gotten to like the groups that he was in, like the boy groups. Because I don't open them, it's like 999 plus messages.
Like thousands.
And because they won't kick him out of the group.
Of course,
So it's like literally 999 plus messages.
Side note.
What?
Just like
kick him out of
dies and you just exit them from the group chat. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
But you can actually see if they've read it anyway, so...
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. You know what? That would probably be a bit creepy too. Imagine that, right?
Imagine sitting there reading those messages.
And you see like, I don't know, like let's say, for example, I died, whatever, and we had a group chat and you're like, Kayla read at 7:22 and my husband like read our mate. Like that would be weird a little bit. Hey, I feel like that would be strange.
You know what? You out. Sorry.
Yeah, would you get rid of my husband? Yeah, that's fair. So... when Mohammed passed away, I remember the phones being a conversation. He was always like, I can bury those phones with me. Don't you let anyone, right? So it was funny. When he passed away, first thing I grabbed were the phones. Yeah. I will never forget. I grabbed both his phones, put them in my bag, zipped it up, didn't show anyone, didn't mention, because I wasn't sure what anyone, family did that. I was like, nah, these are going, no one's seeing them, no one's talking about them again, right? Took his phones, whatever. Came home from the hospital that night and there are some messages that I will never forget, like that flashed up after he had died and when people were finding out that he had died and boys sending him messages.
Had they known that?
Yeah. And I'll never, like that is so embedded into my mind and I know exactly who it was, what they said, because I remember he must have had his... because I still hadn't opened it. So he must have had the previews on messages or WhatsApp or something because I have never actually gone into his phone. And I'll never forget them. Like they have stayed with me. Like imagine that. Holding these phones and just seeing like boys like saying this stuff to him.
Wow.
Like it was, So I'll never forget that. So with the phones, took them home, let them die. And then that's it. I just never...
turn them back on.
Yeah. So, but I know that is a common way that people find things that they don't want to find.
That's right. That's exactly right.
But to go back to the question, I think this lady was talking about during.
Yeah, I think. That's what I got.
Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah. I mean... send us a message and let us know.
We don't know. If you want to go deeper into that, you can expand further. But when she's asking, what do we do? Professional help is what you do to work. Yes. It's like
you really, really have to do some
work.
Work on yourself.
Yeah.
Like it's not an easy thing.
No.
Especially like, and just going off her question, it just seemed like there was some really, really deep-rooted issues.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, it wasn't like, you know...
No, it's not just something
threw
small.
His socks on
that's
the...
right.
Like,
no, it's
you
something
can tell
big has
this
happened.
Is like something really big.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think, first and foremost, you really, really need to work on yourself.
Yeah.
And... grief again, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like it's definitely not a pretty bow. You don't wrap it up with a pretty bow. You really, really need to work on yourself. Therapy, 1000%. It's
especially with stuff like that.
Exactly,
right?
It's a safe space, and it really allows you to, grieve the love of your life, but also go through those wounds that, and haven't been healed.
A therapist will give you the tools that you need
and help you to navigate through that.
Like if he was alive, Do you know what I mean? If he was alive, you'd probably do some form of therapy, some marriage counselling, something to help you work through whatever's going on within the marriage.
But I really want you to just try and write it down. Write him a letter. Give
that a go. Yeah.
Like I did that. Like when my kids saw me doing that task.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh, can we write him a letter?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Of course you can." And so they did. They wrote him letters, and they took it. You know, they took those letters with him to the cemetery, and they read the letters to him, and it made them feel a little bit better. Like, obviously, they're not, you know,
not going to be healed from a letter, but of course, it's a tool.
It is a tool.
Definitely.
And it's a very, very powerful tool.
Definitely.
Honestly, I found it so beneficial. I would really just recommend writing him a letter and writing down everything that you feel, everything that you want to say to him, everything you wish you had said to him that you didn't get a chance to say.
I think also...
And if you do that, let me know.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, absolutely. Let us know how that goes. In her message that she sent us, she touched on keeping her husband's legacy, right? So this is what I think about that. You know, when you're in your marriage, and again, I'm going to treat it similar to the way that I would give advice if he was alive. Okay, so you know when you're in a marriage, let's say me and Mohammed are going through issues, okay? I'm probably not going to tell my neighbor. I won't tell my cousin. I'll tell you, right? Because I know I can trust you.
Definitely.
I know your opinion of Mohammed's not going to change. I know you're going to act like nothing happened. You're my best friend. You're not going to judge me.
No.
If I decide to get back with him after there's been infidelity or whatever, you're not going to judge me, right? So when we talk about she wants to honor his legacy in the sense of she doesn't want to make him look bad. I would stick to that. But if you do have that one person that you can open up to, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, not at all.
For example, if I went through my husband's phone now that he's passed away and I found out he had another girlfriend, let's say that.
Yeah.
Would I go and parade it to the world? No. If someone asked me about my grief and how's it going, would I say, oh, yeah, well, I just found out he had a girlfriend?
No, of course not.
Would I tell you? Yes. Would I tell a therapist? Yes.
I also think honoring somebody's legacy, you don't honor parts of them.
Yeah.
You honor who they authentically
That's
are.
right. Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
It's not like a reel on Instagram where you're posting only the good stuff.
That's right.
You honor the good and the bad.
Absolutely.
You know?
For sure.
So definitely speak to somebody. Speak to one person.
Yeah.
That one person.
If you have that one, hopefully you do. If you don't, I wouldn't, because I wouldn't want those rumors going around.
1,000%.
You know?
That's when I would probably let it out to a therapist.
Yeah, definitely. But if you have that one person, I don't see there's nothing wrong in doing that. You're not doing anything bad to his legacy. You're not making him look bad.
All.
You're not, you know, whatever. No. And at the end of the day, I understand they're dead, but these are people's actions.
That's exactly right.
Do you know what I mean? And someone's actions have caused you to feel a certain way. You're entitled to feel that, and you're entitled to talk about it to someone close to you if you need to.
1,000%.
That's it.
And it's probably not something that you're going to get over, you know, in a day, a week, a month. Of course not. It will take a lot of time.
Babe, can you imagine... Let's just say me and Mohammed grieving for nearly 3 years, the way I feel about him, the way I speak about him, every part of my life is now affected because of his death, etc., etc., etc. And then I found out he's got a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Babe, I'd go mental. I'd go fucking insane.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Of course it's hard.
There's no doubt. It's definitely hard, but everything that you're feeling is valid.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. My advice is always therapy. Take my advice.
She needs to take her own advice, guys.
I do, and I will. I told you, 2026.
She doesn't go to therapy.
I know, but I will be. I will go. I've got a lot to say.
Why don't we start this? Here we go with the, you know my schedule.
You know my fucking schedule.
You know my schedule.
But you do know my schedule.
But look who's talking like I'm like got all the time in the world.
You don't go to therapy, hun. The fuck are you on about? You went to therapy once.
No, I didn't. I went No, I went more than I went a lot of times.
How many?
But can I say something? No, I'm saying I'm talking like my schedule's not fucked either.
Yeah, yours is, and that's why you don't go to therapy either. We should both go to therapy. Can we do joint therapy?
I wonder. That
so
would be
much
so
fun.
interesting.
Yeah, I think that's not the point. of
Yeah, no, it's
therapy,
not.
for me to have fun.
No, it's not.
Anyway,
Can we go to therapy to have fun?
Just do it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I hope that answers your question
Yeah.
and gives you a little bit of clarity.
And again, if there's anything further you want us to touch on, please.
But you might have to go a little deeper into the specifics because I don't know what we're talking here. We don't know.
And it's anonymous. Like, we're not going to.
Never. Yeah. Look, anything that you guys send in to us, because we love getting your DMs and reading your stories, and we're so grateful that you actually share that deep stuff with us.
Yeah,
it's
that's
so
right.
personal.
It is so personal. But I love that we've created this, this little group of
the messages we get. Sometimes I'm like,
I know, and I always say this, and you and I have discussed it. It's very different to speak to somebody who has actually gone through
100%,
what you've gone through or something similar to, as opposed to somebody who hasn't gone through it,
And you know what? I just want to say, like, sometimes people DM us, and I know people have trust issues, right? And they'll create like a whole fake account to share a story or whatever. I'm just going to say you do not have to do that.
No, you don't.
Like, it is not going anywhere. It will never be shared.
No judgment.
No, we are definitely no judgment.
We might have opinions, but we're not judgmental.
No, we're definitely not judgmental.
Yeah.
Definitely not. And so you don't have to go to the effort of making the fake account, hiding yourself. Like, it's okay. We all go through things. We all do things. We're just grateful that you want to share your story with us.
100%.
If you want us to talk about it, keeping you anonymous, we can. If you don't want us to share it and you just want to vent, we can do that too.
Yeah, definitely.
So you don't have to worry about.
I mean, if you do, that's fine. But you don't have
also
to.
Fine. That's, like, that's cool too. But I'm just saying, because I know sometimes people get so, like, they really want to say something, but they're so anxious and they're like, are they gonna say, what? We're not. We get hundreds of DMs. You can go.
We still have people who are like, I created this account. I want to tell you something, and then we're like, no problem. Safe
tell
space.
Us. You can
say
tell
it.
us. Yeah,
and then they just go silent. They don't say anything.
They're too nervous to actually say it, but you don't have to be. And I mean, we talk about this in most videos, but our community group on Facebook, it is a space where we're all going through the same
You can also share something anonymous on there.
Yeah, you can share anonymous posts. And if you're more comfortable to not, you can also share posts with your name showing and people can interact.
Definitely.
And there's a lot of times where people will share photos of their loved ones, a little bit about their story. We talk on it a lot. So we have our community group at Married Now Widowed.
Yeah.
So you can join that as well. And it is, again, it's a safe space. We don't tolerate any hate. We don't, like,
that's right.
TikTok, Instagram, a little bit different. We get comments, whatever. Well, that's cool. But when it comes to people that are grieving in our community group, we don't have any of that. So you don't have to worry about any of that. Okay. Wow. That was good.
Yes.
I liked that topic. Thank you for sending that in. It was really
so
good.
Important.
And it's a lot more common than you think.
Yeah.
A lot of marriages, actually every marriage has issues.
Yeah.
No marriage is perfect.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that's really forgotten about. When they die, all that doesn't disappear.
No, it doesn't.
There's times that I think about things that Muhammad has said or done still.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why did you say that? Why did you act that way? Why did you do that? You know, or, I mean.
And, I think as time goes on, they will come up a lot more.
Of course. Absolutely. Because, again, your brain fog lessens and you have more clarity.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, guys, as always, Married Now Widowed on all platforms. But if you could do us a favor and subscribe to our channel, we would really appreciate that. Anything you want to know, any questions you have, please send them through and we will see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye.